This is White Plains Week, the weekly roundup of White Plains, Westchester, and world news. With John Bailey, editor and publisher of the daily internet newspaper White Plains Citizen Net Reporter, WPCNR.com. Jim Benerofe, editor and publisher of SuburbanStreet.com and WhitePlains.com. And me, Peter Katz, formerly with NBC, ABC News, and stations from Boston to Los Angeles. White Plains Week, what's happening, who are the newsmakers, what's in store for the future. The views and opinions expressed on this program are solely those of the participants. White Plains Week is presented on Optimum Cable Channel 76, Verizon Fios Channel 45, and on the internet at whiteplainsweek.com, youtube.com, and wpcommunitymedia.org. Now, White Plains Week.
Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. White Plains, Westchester, and the world. John Bailey on White Plains Week, City News Roundup show, with my partner of last 17 years, Jim Benerofe on my left, the Dean of White Plains Journalism, and the anchor for all seasons, Peter Katz. And right now, Jim, headlines of the week.
The stories for the week of September 30th, 2016. City holds transit district briefing for public. Peter Katz and I will have complete video coverage. Trump Today and Hillary and Friends interviews Mayor Tom Roach on what it was like to attend the presidential debate. Declining circulation in local papers, a concern. City sales tax receipts soft in August, behind county growth after 8 months of 2016. Dannon Yogurt considers moving from Greenberg into the Fortunoff Mall. School district hires interim superintendent through June as Timothy Connors departs. Medical center accused of padding Medicaid in federal whistleblower suit. Westchester County asks for bids to repair the rest of the Playland Boardwalk damaged by Hurricane Sandy. Arnold Palmer, the man who turned professional golf into a national obsession, dies. Jose Fernandez, 24, Marlins great to be, dies in Miami night boating accident. Shimon Peres, former President and Prime Minister of Israel, dies at 93.
Thank you, Jet. And without further ado, we had a meeting. We go to the White Plains Week Rollo Newsreel March of Time, September 30th, and we had a meeting on the White Plains Transit Center redo. That is the circular area up on the screen there. It happened Wednesday night. Jim Benerofe and Peter Katz were there. Peter, the planning scoop.
Well, John, it was this past Wednesday that the city held another public meeting in its study for redevelopment of the area around the train station. This was at the Westchester Arts Council building on Mamaroneck Avenue. The city plans to apply to New York State for a $5 million grant from its Transportation Alternatives Program, or TAP, T-A-P, which can be used for upgrades in the train station area to better serve pedestrians, bike riders, and any other non-vehicular forms of transportation. Metro North expects to spend about $3 million in the next year or so improving the train station itself. The study on what to do is expected to be finished soon, with a final conceptual plan for the redevelopment to be released in December. The consulting firm Parsons Brinkerhoff was hired for the study. There are 4 city-owned parcels of land which would be redeveloped, which likely would include building a new parking garage with retail space at ground level on the site of the city's firehouse down the street from the existing garage. The main gallery at the Westchester Arts Council building was about half full. Mayor Roach spoke first, then Planning Commissioner Christopher Gomez.
We have probably had no more public input on anything we've done that in my memory. We've had multiple sessions in different locations, different formats. We've had people at the train station, we've had people at the farmers market, at the Outdoor Arts Festival, at Truck Day. It's over 3,000 contact points, 847 people spoken to, 601 surveys collected, 350 attendees at public meetings, 64 comments on the web, and 1,257 responses to the question of the week. We've had people at the train station, so we've gotten a lot of information. So we own the land. We'll be able to put it out for bids from different developers, but we'll know what to tell them that we're looking for, including open space.
Dedicated bike lanes that are protected from traffic are what are effective, what are safe, and will really enhance our existing bike network. On the right-hand side, you're seeing some very clear green box signaling and topography there. And so what you're looking at there is a way to really define that realm for the bikes. On the left-hand side, you're seeing something called a cycle track. That is something that's actually built with an existing sidewalk at the same level as pedestrian. A lot of communities have gone to, including Pelham and other communities in Westchester, looking at safe bike corrals, which again are secure facilities where people for a small fee are able to store their bikes for the day or even times longer. Placemaking. We've heard time and time again the need to create some vitality down there, whether it's providing amenities, whether it's retail uses, commercial uses, perhaps even outdoor public space where we can have performances. This is a great example of kind of that mix and synergy of uses we'd love to achieve. How do we create that live-work environment, a place where people don't necessarily need to own a car or two cars and can commute via transit, whether it be bus or train? That's a place. That is a real place that we can create. And part of that clearly is open space, whether it's green space, a place for central gathering, as I said. Examples of farmer markets, other communities in the country have been very successful at kind of creating a public realm that both relates to the transit station, but also has an opportunity for passive recreation as well. Density, I guess the biggest thing I really want to convey here is that density comes in all shapes and sizes. When we talk about the density of development, there's many factors at play. And what you're seeing here on the slide is an illustration by pure zoning calculations of similar density. You know, you can achieve the number of dwelling units in many different ways. And while it may seem intuitive, I think what a lot of the planning documents and a lot of our zoning fails to recognize is really the basis of the street and streetscape, and how do we enhance that? So if you look at the top, you're achieving a level of density with the 8, 10, 12-story building. Same in that same block, you're providing open space and ability for surface parking. You go all the way down to the bottom right, you have a very different kind of clustered townhouse kind of development.
Questions or comments from the audience were not allowed. After the presentation, those attending got a chance to examine renderings of the 3 conceptual plans Gomez introduced, each with differing degrees of open space and development, but none equivalent to the Grand Central Station-like concept integrated with retail, office, and apartments envisioned by developer Louis Capelli some years ago. Now, Jim, you were there also with me on this, and one thing that stood out to me is that there seemed to be a lack of emphasis on the train station as a vital transportation link, as some place to use to efficiently get from your house to New York City or up the line someplace else. Am I off base in thinking that?
No, I don't think. I think that if they were to do nothing else, they could try to upgrade the station right away.
Well, yeah, Metro North supposedly is going to do some of that.
Metro North is providing $15 million to 5 different stations. Now, I can assume that they will give $3 million to each station. I don't know if that's exactly how it's going to work.
That's the guesstimate at this point.
But I think also that, they had these display boards, my understanding is that you can download this information from the internet.
Yes, on the city's website, cityofwhiteplains.com has, or is supposed to have access to a section on the transportation center redevelopment, which is supposed to have all this information and these renderings posted so you can see them. But John looked And
I
and
looked
it-
at the Transit District website.
and it's not there yet.
The
at
tape
least.
of the whole presentation is not there yet, but that will be coming sometime in the future, I'm told. But the question I would have is, there is a purpose to development, and that is to revive your handle. It's not aesthetics. The amount of money that you can bring into the city, the amount of dinero that will possibly bail us out.
John, that's a rather crass way of looking at it. I mean, it's
If
you know, you can also look at amenities. You can look at making the city attractive, not only to residents but to businesses. But sure, generating revenue, either sales tax revenue or property tax revenue, it is part of it. But also and generating business activity by bringing people
Well, I
in,
have some
sure.
suggestions. Could we go to slide 6? This is my station of dreams. I can see a 60-story convention casino to hotel over the railroad station, parking underneath. 20,000-seat sports arena, parking underneath. County Center turned into the White Plains Westchester Metro North Railroad Museum, always popular. 60-story luxury apartments on Firehouse property. Hub retail mall encircling the railroad station, perhaps elevated on a level or between the tracks with widened space in between the tracks to really intrigue you. Shop while you wait. Circular traffic flow of cabs, cars, bikes in one continuous loop. No in, out, line up and wait. Underground parking if geology permits it. And that's something we do not know about this whole site. What are the geological restrictions as to what you can build? Down or
there
up?
are lots of streams
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
that downtown
A lot of
area
water
underground.
in certain
Right. Well,
areas.
that's what I mean. That is what they got to tell us.
There have
Yeah.
been
And-
problems
Yeah.
at some point with water in building a lot of underground
Yeah.
parking.
True.
And you're also saying something about Battle Hill.
Battle Hill City.
Well, actually, John, in the short term, the city on its own will be undertaking to do something about the taxi cab waiting area and the pickup and drop off circulation.
Right.
So the city will be doing some of that. The rest of your wish list, I wouldn't hold my breath on.
Look
Yeah,
what
I
the
don't know.
Barclays.
Where did you
What
come
the?
up with 60-story buildings?
I'm just throwing that out there to panic people. But at any rate, but no. Think of what the Barclays Center did for Brooklyn. Right at a transportation hub. That place is thriving with two really mediocre
But
sports
you have
teams
to
and
understand
concerts.
something. Brooklyn is
Brooklyn
the
is
biggest,
Brooklyn.
geographically, I think it's the largest borough in the city of New York. And there's like 3 million people there or something, 4 million, I don't know. You know, that you can't compare that. We have a 60,000 population.
I'm
Anyway, so
saying
stay-
that- I'm
there's
just saying
more-
that
more to
those
come
are
on this.
things. Those are things that could bring money and recognition, and a convention center of all things is what Westchester County needs to be competitive.
More to
We are.
come on this, and we do expect the city's final draft proposal in December.
Right now.
What else happened this week? Well,
A couple of guys got together on television and debated about a presidency.
I think it was a man and a woman, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
So it's said that 84 million people watched the presidential debate on television, the first presidential debates. Several million more, uncounted at this point, saw it on the internet. And even on your telephone if you wanted to watch
And
it on
so
your
did
telephone.
Tom Roach. He saw it in person.
Well, you know, various elected officials from around the region were indeed in the audience for the debate at Hofstra, and County Executive Rob Astorino was among the Republicans who attended, and among the Democrats was White Plains Mayor Tom Roach.
Well, it was exciting. There was a bit of a circus atmosphere. Don King was there, and there was a lot of activity. Mark Cuban up in the front, and it was really exciting, and well worth the trip.
Was there a lot of security?
Oh yeah, you had. They brought you through a separate building where you received some food, and then you came through the screening, and then put you on buses, and then brought you over to the facility where they were actually having the event.
Now, they said the audience was not supposed to react, but we heard some reaction.
You know,
Was it rowdy?
there was a lot. I was at the Sanders-Clinton debate. It was a lot less rowdy. People did follow the instruction for quite a while. Then there was some comment, and it was, it was Trump supporters made a little noise. And then after that, there was some natural. There were moments that were funny that made people just laugh out loud, and it wasn't deliberate. It wasn't. So I think for the most part, people follow the rules. They spent about 5 minutes telling us, don't make any noise, no cheering, no booing. This isn't for you. This is for the bigger audience, and et cetera.
Did you get into the spin room afterwards? We understand there were like 2,000 reporters.
Right. Well, they had an extra area where I spoke to FiOS, but the timing, I couldn't get in. News 12 wanted me in the spin room. I couldn't get in, and I had to catch the bus if I wanted to get home before the sun rose. So there was a point where I just had to say, okay, no mas.
Now, in the debate itself, one of the highlights came with an offhanded remark from Trump when Hillary Clinton was pressing him on why haven't you released your taxes? Maybe it's because you don't pay any taxes. He said, that makes me smart. The implication being that those of us who do pay taxes and contribute to American society are stupid for doing that. He also tried to respond to her pointing out that a former Miss Universe came out and revealed that he severely, verbally attacked her while she was holding the office of Miss Universe for being overweight. Trump said that he won the debate, and he said that according to a CBS News poll, he was the winner. CBS said, we never conducted a poll as to who was the winner. Trump said that he was deliberately given a bad microphone at the debate, which we all know wasn't the case because anyone who listened could hear him loud and clear. However, even after he said that, and even after knowing that if you watched the debate, you could hear him perfectly, 40% of his supporters believed that he was given a bad microphone deliberately at the debate.
I thought he was ill. I thought he was ill.
What? Why?
He had a cold, bad cold. I thought he had a big cold.
No, he didn't.
I don't listen to his
He didn't
speeches.
sound coldy at all, but he was inhaling a lot, doing a snuffling or sniffling or snuffling kind of noise.
Snuffleupagus.
Yes.
Something like that.
trying to
USA
appeal to
Today, just this morning, for the first time in its publishing history, has come out with an editorial taking a position on a presidential campaign, and the USA Today told its readers, don't vote for Trump. Trump charged this week that Google had been suppressing negative news about Hillary Clinton, so that when anyone searched on Google, nothing negative about Hillary Clinton would come up, and Google, of course, denies that as being ridiculous. The Trump Foundation, apparently, according to the Washington Post, has violated New York state law because it never registered with the state attorney general to get approval to solicit money from the public. Speaking yesterday in Bedford, New Hampshire, Donald Trump proposed what sounded to me like making this a country with no religious freedom. He said, quote, imagine what our country can accomplish if we started working together as one people under one God, saluting one American flag. I thought we were a country where you could worship whichever God you chose.
Didn't we do something like that in the 50s?
Didn't have
Take
to be
out
one God.
under God from the Pledge of Allegiance or something?
Well,
I
they
happen to
took out
recall
under
that as a
God,
kid.
but then
Put it back in.
Put it back in. But this is not under God. This is saying there should be only one God.
Has he read the Constitution lately? Probably not.
According to the FBI, the Russians have tried but failed to attack approximately 20 state election systems with their Russian hackers. The FBI says it is on the case.
Yeah.
Newsweek magazine.
I'm really confident.
This is the cover of the current Newsweek magazine. They have found out that Trump, during the 90s, broke the federal U.S. embargo on doing business with Cuba, tried to establish a toehold in Cuba, which might eventually lead to a Trump casino hotel in Cuba. He spent money in Cuba, a violation of federal law. However,
Could we have an indictment, please?
you cannot. The statute of limitations has run out.
It has run out. I see. Wow, but it is always amazing what the reporting Newsweek has done, and everybody should read that long article that you showed me, Pete.
And as if that weren't enough, the vice presidential candidate on the Republican side, Mike Pence, says that if they are elected, the first thing they will do is reverse every executive order ever issued by President Barack Obama. And hearing that preposterous statement encouraged me to take a look at the executive orders, and so I got lists of some of the executive orders. Most of the stuff is important housekeeping that the government needs to do in order to keep operating.
Yeah.
Among other things, if they went in and reversed all of his executive orders, they would make it impossible for a future president to take office from a current president, because one of the things Obama did was to perpetuate a transition team to help a new president come in and take over the White House.
Well, it'll
You can't make this stuff up.
This transition will be interesting.
Yeah.
Well, now, some local stuff that happened this week. The White Plains Board of Education voted to appoint Dr. Howard W. Smith as acting superintendent of schools at a Board of Education meeting Monday evening.
He is formerly from Tarrytown, right?
Yes, yes. He spent about 13 years there, and he has been consulting since.
Now, Tarrytown is a heavily Hispanic district.
Yes, it is, but he was mainly known for his building program, which really upgraded the Tarrytown schools. And they wrote a glowing farewell to him for his retirement. So then they hired Dr. Clouet. And now, who's coming but the former Tarrytown superintendent? So we haven't met him yet, but we'll see. We don't have a salary on him yet.
Dan and Yogurt may be coming to White Plains in the future. Right now they have a test kitchen set up in Greenburgh.
Jim, you were there at that special meeting.
Yeah. What they're going to do is they want to put the test kitchen on the ground floor of the Fortune Mall. That's where Whole Foods and Cheesecake Factory and those are there. Morton Steakhouse is moving out, or they have moved out already. I don't know. I don't know whether they're closing down that restaurant, or I think they are. And there was a maternity store that was there that is no longer there. So they would use that space there. And then on the fourth floor, they would take office space and possibly expand with a little bit of space over the parking lot.
And the timeline, this wouldn't happen for a while, would it?
What they would like, there's some zoning changes that have to be made, mainly for the
lab.
And they would like it to happen in the spring of 2017. They'd like to be able to, I believe, get into construction by the end of 2017. The council there didn't seem to be terribly great concern. They thought it would be good for the city.
One thing we learned this week, which is not at all related to White Plains, is that the Pittsburgh Time Review, one of the real old line newspapers, is going to stop its print edition. And that's coming up. We've seen that happen as newspapers around the country shrink. So why mention this? Well, because it ties in with something which does affect our area immediately, and that is that if you're in the publishing business and you publish newspapers or magazines and you mail them through the post office, you are required each year to publish a post office form where you report your circulation figures. The Journal News had to report their circulation figures that came out this week, and we see, quite shockingly, that the circulation of this newspaper is now down to 44,949, according to
That was the
their,
latest
their
issue,
filing
close
with,
to the day.
with the post office, which they published because you're required under postal regulations to make that public.
This is
my
bad in a million
concept
counties.
of the Gannett papers in Westchester and Rockland is a powerhouse with a circulation of around 200,000 or so. Am I just living in the past, Jim? Or
Well, yeah, that they don't have anything close to that now. I don't even.
Well, they don't.
I think that the 44,000 is unusually high, but and having been in. When I was publishing a hard copy paper, I did direct mail, okay, and I had a circulation of 25,000.
that's just in White Plains primarily? or-
Well, yeah, the 106, so it went into some parts of Greenberg. You know, and I was for years, I think I was the largest mailer in the city of White Plains. So I know a little bit about it. And it is very hard to get enough advertising to justify the expenses. I had former salespeople who had worked for Gannett working for me, and it was still, and they were good salespeople.
Well, speaking of sales, James, the sales tax figures came out from the state within the last week, and the soft White Plains sales tax doldrums continue. According to figures released on the August tax receipts, the city is running 4% behind the pace of Westchester County sales tax receipts over the first 7 months of 2016. Now, this has got to be a concern. Why is the county doing better and White Plains soft? They have to take a look at this, and that's why
we
mentioned
never did see that survey of downtown shopping that the Downtown Business Improvement District.
Yeah, we did get scuttlebutt on it,
yeah.
that everybody hated the
Yeah,
parking, and
but-
that's
but-
why they
yeah,
weren't coming.
But we never
right?
saw.
But nobody
the thing
pays
for
attention
real.
to that.
Oh, speaking of which, I found out from a source this week that indeed the red light cameras are coming to White Plains. They have lined up 6 intersections. There were engineering studies done, and they were selected based on accidents. There will be a grace period. You will get a warning rather than a ticket right off the bat. And there will be signs posted at the intersection warning that
How nice of them.
we have cameras.
How nice of them. And a couple of quick notes. Arnold Palmer passed away this week. Very sad. And
Shimon Peres.
and people, top of their game, we will miss them. John Bailey for White Plains Week, Peter Katz, and Jim Benerofe. Good night.
This has been White Plains Week, news and commentary about White Plains, Westchester, and the world. The views and opinions expressed on this program were solely those of the participants. White Plains Week, produced by White Plains Citizen Net Reporter, and presented on Optimum Cable Channel 76 and Verizon Fios Channel 45. You may view White Plains Week anytime on the internet at whiteplainsweek.com, youtube.com, and wpcommunitymedia.org. For White Plains Week, this is Peter Katz speaking.